Welcome everyone to this geopolitical channel. So today we will raise the question: is a confrontation inevitable between the Syrian and the Turkish army? So let's now try a bit to summarize what we have talked so far since our first video. So in the first video we just raised from a political point of view this question: is this a confrontation possible? And the day after, if you remember, the Syrian army attacked a Turkish observation point in the Idlib province, causing the death of 8 Turkish soldiers, followed by then a Turkish army reprisal, which killed at least 13 Syrian soldiers, but according to the Turkish government, 72 Syrian soldiers have been killed. Then there was a new flare-up where a new attack from the Syrian army on another Turkish observation point, causing the death of 5 Turkish soldiers, followed again by a reprisal by the Turkish army. So we see that the confrontation is a bit building up. Still, we cannot talk about a confrontation, we can more talking about a flare-up, but probably now a confrontation seems now inevitable after the declaration, the statement today from President Erdogan. I will just read you what the President Erdogan has said today, because I think it's very clear statement. An operation in Idlib is imminent. We are counting down. We are issuing our final warnings. As with all previous operation, we can start at any time. In other words, an Idlib operation is a matter of time. So perhaps as of tonight we will see an operation, a military operation from the Turkish army, but this time it will not be just a reprisal like what we saw last week and 2 weeks ago, meaning just a couple of bombings. This time I think the Turkish army will have a clear objective, at least to withdraw in the first stage would be to push back the Syrian army beyond the lines, to disencircle, if you like, the Turkish observation point, because most of them now are encircled, are surrounded by the Syrian army. So the first objective of the Turkish army would be, let's say, to push back the Syrian army outside of the Idlib province. And probably, according to the situation, if the Turkish army sees that this army is totally weak and does not have the full support of the Russian army, I can imagine that probably the objective would be to topple the Syrian regime. And today we had also another statement from another very influential Turkish politician. I'm talking about Mr. Bahçeli, probably Devlet Bahçeli. This name doesn't sound very familiar with you. He's the head of MHP, a party, and he had this statement. Just for your information, MHP is part of the coalition right now in Turkey because AKP does not have the overwhelming majority as the Turkish parliament, so it depends on this party to get his support at the parliament. So it's a very influential party in Turkey, and he said like that: as long as Assad regime is not dethroned, Turkey will not have peace. From now, we have to make plans to enter Damascus and obliterate tyrants there. I think it's very clear about what certain Turkish politicians are thinking, meaning that the goal is not only to push back the Syrian army to Idlib, but going to Damascus. Why such statement, and why going to Damascus and not just pushing back this Syrian army? I think there are several reasons in Turkey why this objective is maybe more interesting, or more, let's say, politically interesting. I think first there are some Turkey is probably thinking that this Syrian army is very weak. After 9 years of war, this army is totally collapsing, if you like. The number of soldiers are diminishing. A lot of them have deserted this army. A lot of them died. Many of them are not anymore motivated. They don't know even exactly what are the objective of the President Assad. So probably they are thinking that after 9 years of war, this army could not be able to confront the Turkish army. After that, it will raise the question how the Russian army will support the Syrian army against the Turkish army. Will Russia intervene? Probably yes, because I think the interest of Russia is so important in Syria that they will not allow Turkey to topple the regime. So probably we will see a support from Russian army. To what extent, that's the question that we are still not able to understand. So the first reason for Turkey to go to Damascus would be due to the weakness of the regime. Another reason is due to the humanitarian crisis at the Turkish border. Over the last days, 1 million people, meaning 1/3 of the population of the Idlib province, were displaced, left their home, and went to the Turkish border. So it means that we have right now 1 million people which expect to enter to Turkey, which is totally unbearable for Turkey. So in a way, Turkish push needs to push back the Syrian army in order that those people can come back to their house. So that's a second reason. And a third reason, it's that Turkey comes to the conclusion that the Syrian regime is out of control and Russia is not able to control this regime, and now Turkey needs to intervene to, if you like, to weaken this army. So that is a third reason. So for all those reasons, I think Turkey will intervene over the next hour. So as I said, the first objective will be to push back the Syrian army, and we will see later whether Turkey will go further, meaning that he will push back this army till Damascus and toppling this Syrian regime. I think all scenarios right now are possible, and that's why we will follow over the next days, even the next hour on this channel, what will be the shape of this operation. We will see a very spectacular Turkish operation mobilizing hundreds of thousands Turkish soldiers, or just a small military operation. We will follow up for sure on this channel all the details of this Turkish operation.